I'm studying robotics engineering. I'm in my third year too.
William.
Just taking that further to the rest of the panel, really. You're talking about the maths program that you're running in primary schools. Does that extend beyond computation to problem solving and critical thinking? And where are we up to in terms of the technology to achieve that?
So technology is difficult because the term AI is when I started a long time ago in the computing industry, AI basically was used to mean anything that was too hard to do, really. So, for example, computer vision was artificial intelligence, speech recognition, speech synthesis, object recognition, all of the things that we now take for granted on our mobile phones was all AI. So it's a moving target. And I think one of the things that often people forget is that AI isn't something that is going to happen. It's something that will develop because we'll constantly rename something AI when we want it to happen. And I think the comment was made in the earlier panel about will we still need computer science? Well, that's a very interesting question because I think of all the subjects, computer science is probably the one that will go on forever because the more imagination you have, the more things you think to do with computing and the more computing changes. So in terms of where we are with the technology, what can we do with Pepper in a school? There's all sorts of areas where we could work. A lot of it relates to what sensors we have, what sort of things we want to do, how invasive we want to be. So we could, for example, start using brain-computer interaction to collect data. Do we want to do that? I'm not sure. That may be a step too far. I think there's a whole rich tapestry out there of things we could do. What we do, what we'll end up doing, I think quite rightly should be driven by educationalists and teachers.
And so with that in mind, are there any particular skills that those teachers need to develop?
So I think that teachers more than anything, I put my cards on the table. I started my career as a maths teacher, so I've been there and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think that the point about the skills that teachers need, I think, going forward will be the same skills that the students need, which is agility, flexibility, etc. And I think they need a framework within they can do those things.
Have any other members of the panel wish to add to that?
Just some time ago, I was asked to go to a college in North London and talk about integration, differentiation to a group of youngsters who could not care less about maths, and just to motivate them. And I thought it had been 20 years since I studied those, and to be honest with you, I couldn't even spell those, let alone talk about them. So I said, can I just do it my own way? And we took some equipment, and the equipment runs on compressed air. We had to look at force and area and pressure. And the fact that on a working equipment we could relate these three together, and actually show that in order for this machine to work, you have to work out the force, the pressure, you have to work out the area of the circle. And then they had to look at pi r squared. Majority of them could not even raise it to the power of 2. And then they realized that obviously that's a skill that it... So what I'm saying is basically we managed... What we did was we put maths into context of an industrial example. And then within that they have to look at percentages. Again, none of them could do it. But the fact that it was there, they could feel it, they could touch it. It was a real example. It made a massive difference, and we went from not having any interest at the beginning to almost not being able to ask them to leave.
So does that take it beyond a gimmick, perhaps? If you were to say, not just a means of engaging students, is there a deeper level of learning to be had from it?
Yes, I would say. I mean, if we could, there's a lot of subjects. If we could make them practical and show the students that what are we getting at, and also simplify it, then there will be a lot of mileage in that.
Okay. Thank you.
I think there's just a quick follow up on that.
Yeah.
There's a really important point about Pepper and other devices and gimmicks, and I'm happy with the word gimmick, but the notion of embodied learning and the work that people like Papert, Montessori, tactile learning is an area which is now very, very interesting because modern technology allows us to do things which are tactile with sensory feedback in ways which 25, 30 years ago were quite tricky when Papert first suggested them.